Hey guys, welcome to the Captain's Log. Paul Mecurio's in the building. We're not really in the building, we're in the car, but we're driving from 105.5 The Beat Radio, heading to 103.9, doing some morning press because you're in Fort Myers and going to be performing in Naples at Off the Hook Comedy Club. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, man. I've never been to Naples, and my sister comes down here in the winter, and my brother-in-law comes down here in the winter, Italian and Jew, so like they fit right in, and everybody says how great it is, how beautiful it is on this side of the side of Florida. I've never been here, so it's pretty cool.
Well, it's sunny. It's a beautiful day. It's going to be a great weekend.
Yeah.
And you got 6 shows, man. So,
yeah. It should be fun.
I can't believe all this time you've been doing comedy, we've been doing shows, and this is our first connection.
I know, and we're like connected in a way we didn't know. We're both parents. I think we're very much alike when it comes to being parents. And we're New England guys. We grew up an hour from each other probably. I grew up in Rhode Island. You grew up in Boston.
Right.
And, except neither of us sound like we're from the. My mother talks, park the car, there's all of that.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Oh man, the worst.
Yeah.
The accents just,
it's crazy.
Like, don't go away.
And my son does an impression of her. It's hilarious. You want to hear me do grandma?
Yeah, I do.
Paulie. I'm Paulie. The rest of my life and my family, I'm Paulie to everybody. And it's like...
That's goes, my mom.
Yeah, Ma.
Ma, what are you doing?
Ma,
like,
yeah,
why?
Yeah. And my sister's got it. She's like, it's insane. Like when you talk to her, you feel like you're talking to an alien from another planet.
And they're still in Rhode Island?
Yeah, they're still in Rhode Island. And my mom's 92 and running her business and just like out of her mind. She won't like listen to anybody. And she's got like all these like weird ways of doing stuff, and she's like like she grew up in a depression, like that that generation, like high school educated, so like that never leaves you. Like I think there's that like I gotta save money. Even she's got money, she's got a business.
Your mom's 92.
She's 92. She will not go down.
She still works every day.
Yeah.
No, she goes to the office every day.
She goes to the store. She has a furniture store.
Wow.
She goes to the shopping center.
And she drives.
And she drives, and she takes Uber now, which is hilarious because sometimes she can't hear. She's got like a hearing aid that like she found in the garbage, and she had somebody like fix it, but it like whistles all the time. It's like, and she won't like she has filing. She doesn't use filing cabinets.
Right.
She puts like all of her files in styrofoam coolers, and then writes on the outside what they are, so she carries the coolers around.
Really?
I'm not kidding you. My brother and I joke that it's like when she gets orders, looks like she's going on a picnic. It's like, it's like she... And my brother called me a couple of weeks ago, like it was like the end of August, a month or so ago, whatever, and he goes, Mommy, we go, Ma or Mommy, he's like, we have to have Mommy's car fumigated. I go, what? I go, what happened? He goes, well, apparently... My mother was having some of her girlfriends over for like lunch or something, so she went shopping and she bought a bunch of food.
She's 92. How old are her girlfriends?
Right? That's a good point. They're dead. They wheel them in a coffin, they open it up, and she talks to them.
It was fumigated. Okay, so what happened?
That's hilarious. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, they are actually dropping like flies, and she's shrinking, by the way. She's like this big now. She's literally the spine, right? So she like bought this food, and then she bought like cheese and stuff, like blue cheese and then she had to go like to Walmart for something, and then she went in, and my mother's kind of flighty, so she loses track of time, and she's in there for like 2 hours, and
she's been doing this for 92 years. What do you want for the poor thing?
Exactly. So I guess she put the cheese like under the front seat of the car and locked the car, and then forgot it was in there, and then went in there, stunk to high heavens. And I'm not kidding you, I said to her, why did you put the cheese under the front seat of the car and lock the car? She goes, I'm quoting her now, she goes, I don't want people to steal the cheese.
Yeah. Hey, blue cheese, it could have been could have been $20 a pound.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a Gouda thief running around Rhode Island. So it's like, and she like moves furniture around and stuff. Like she's pretty in shape because she like that's her like activity. My father had a heart attack like 25 years ago, and she didn't want to. I think it was just to get out of the marriage, and
he was done.
He was like, I'm done. I'm gonna die now, and because she definitely was like the main, like she was the center of the house. You know what I mean? Like that was her. My father was more laid back and stuff, and so. And so, you know, she didn't want to close the store. She said, I'll sit around and get depressed. And so the store is like, yeah, she's had it for almost 50 years. So she's had customers coming in for years.
Does she do like commercial office stuff or everything?
No,
Home,
it's just all home. Like she does like regular furniture. She does like, the sofas, all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And she doesn't do like mattresses. Although my cousin Bobby, he lives in Rhode Island and he runs numbers. He's and he sells stuff that like fell off the truck. He really does. And one time I was pumping gas to make like extra money, and he came into the gas station and he pops the hood of his car and he's got stuff in the trunk of his car. And
so he literally is like the dude that pulls up at the gas station like, hey, these stereos just fell off the car.
He goes like, hey, he talks like this. He, Paulie, what are you doing? He goes, and he goes, well, get the owner out here. And he had like, that time he had suits, ratchets, and he had car alarms in his car that got stolen from other people's cars. And I said to him, I go, Bobby, don't you understand the fact you're able to steal this means it's not a very good alarm? He's like, what are you talking about? It just doesn't have the box. It's going to work fine. Like, he's definitely like one of those guys, right?
Yeah.
So he comes to my mother's store one day and he goes, hey, Auntie Tina, he goes, I'm in your business now. She goes, what are you talking about? She goes, I'm selling mattresses. She goes, what do you know about mattresses? He goes, what's to know? He goes, I was at the dump last month and I saw all these mattresses, like a big pile of mattresses. I bought like 10 of them for $25 each.
Get out.
I get this Chinese guy. He covers them for like $75. I sell them for $500 a piece. I'm making a killing. She goes, Bobby, get out of my store. I don't even want to know.
Oh my God. So he bought the old mattresses. Recovered
them and is reselling them to people, but not telling them that they're telling them like, he goes, I even got the guy to sew in that tag. You know, that tag that you're not supposed to rip off.
Now this guy is going through all that work.
Yeah. And it's like, if he put that effort into like finishing school and like, he'd probably be a billionaire, right? Like, he's just that guy.
It's actually not a bad idea. I wonder if anyone else is doing that.
It's like, because like he's probably got people that he sells this stuff to all the time. Because some of the stuff is like really legitimate. Like, he'll come in with like Armani suits that literally like, like in Goodfellas where they go to like
they had a misstitch or something.
And then all of a sudden he's got like 82 size 40 regulars or whatever, like, or extra large or long or short.
I love those guys though, because they're always characters. Like when they're around, something good is happening. It's like exciting.
And he's like, he's at the social club, and there's always a thing, and like there's like always action. There's always action,
that's what I mean. Yeah, they're like making it happen.
Like, there's always like shaking your hand, and then something's in your hand. Always. Like he came to my father's funeral. And he was like, he dresses like John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever, and he came in like a fluorescent orange silk shirt. It was like the summer, and it was unbuttoned like down to his belly button with like gold chains and like white pants. And it's an open casket funeral, I'm like laughing at my father's funeral because Bobby's coming to pay his respects, and he looks like a friggin'
He's a Goomba.
He's like a creamsicle with chest hair. Like it was orange and white and gold. And he's like, hey, how you doing? And then he comes and he says the prayer. He does the kneel down thing. He says the prayer. And then he comes to me and he shakes my hand. He goes, hey, Paul. He goes, Uncle Arthur, he was a good man. Here's a little something for the funeral. And he palms me $50 like I'm a maitre d' at a restaurant to help with the funeral. Like he just... They don't get that they're like they don't get that they're characters. Like he thinks he looks good. Like
he's doing it.
He's doing this.
He's doing the work.
The legs are moving like he's got a live snake in his pants. How you doing? Like just.
Oh my God.
And I don't want that to change. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want him to be him.
How old is he?
He's probably in like early 60s now.
Wow.
He's been doing this his whole life. And his father, my uncle, had a barbershop, and I used to go get my hair cut. And it was like an old school barbershop. Like they played like Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett, like Playboy magazine. It was a guy's barbershop, right? He'd talk about like the Red Sox and all that stuff, right? And every once in a while, my uncle would go and the guy would come in and, hey, how you doing? He'd go and they'd take a minute break from cutting my hair, he'd go in the back room a couple of minutes, then he'd come out, and then like they'd shake hands, and then I noticed one time it was money. Well, my uncle was running numbers out of the back of the barbershop, and Bobby,
you gotta do a side hustle. You gotta have a side
exactly.
hustle.
And then I guess it was like the family business, and my cousin Bobby took over the business, and so, and then so, you know, it's just like in the blood, you know what I mean? And it was like a side hustle. He had like you said, he had like 3-4 chairs, but you know, he wanted to make some extra money on the side, and nobody's getting hurt. You know, it's a little money. We're doing little numbers, you know. And
couple beds here, couple beds there.
Nobody gets hurt. What's the problem, you know? Yeah. It's been. It's like a really.
Over the years, you think that type of business, like, it's subsiding now because of the internet and stuff, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's why he's selling.
Cutting into the family business.
I think that's why he's getting Chinese people to cover mattresses, because it's all legal now. Like, there's nothing. That was like a big. You know, the mob was based out of, the New England mob was based, the patriarchal family was based out of Rhode Island. And you know, that was the days when they like controlled vending machines, right? And so like you would like, you know, you'd put like money in a vending like you do now, but then they would take a piece of the money from the business. And then one time somebody actually came to my family store and like said, hey, you know, we're gonna we'll make sure nothing happens. Like they wanted some money.
They wanted a piece.
And then my mother was like, my son, my nephew is, you know, so and so. And they're like, all right, never mind. We shouldn't have come in here. I'm sorry. It was like the one time him like being like, but it like really happens. And
wow.
Yeah, so like, it was all these things, you know. Like my cousin, like at one point was doing so much business. Like he was driving like a Mercedes. His wife was driving a Jaguar, and there was no visible means of support. They tapped his house and his phone, and they caught him like doing all this stuff, and they like arrested him and like. Really? Yeah, because like he wasn't subtle. You know, like that scene in Goodfellas, like they make the score.
Did he get pinched or what?
Yeah. Yeah, and they had to whatever, and they wanted him to like, I think, like rat out other people, and he wouldn't, you know. You know, he just went in with his big bouffant of hair. He goes, I got nothing to say to me. But you know what it was like? But he wasn't subtle about it. You know, that scene in Goodfellas where like they make the pinch and then they show up at the bar to celebrate, and one of the heavyset guys shows up with like his wife in like a white fur coat. Yeah. And De Niro goes over. He goes, what did I say? What did I say? You don't flash it around. Woody, give me the coat. Give me the coat. It was like that. Like he was like. He wasn't like... You
can't be extra over the top. You gotta keep it on the DL.
Yeah, you got a pink Cadillac out front. You know what I mean? So...
And you don't work for Mary Kay?
You know, exactly. Exactly. And your wife's not driving it, you are. So, yeah, it just was like, you know, it is what it is, you know. And,
but you turned out all right and funny.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I try, you know. I got, you know... I did law before I did this. Like, I broke my parents' heart probably leaving law to do this, but...
So when you were in high school, you were like, I'm going to be an attorney. I want to be a lawyer.
Well, I knew I think I kind of wanted to do stuff in business because I kind of grew up in a business. So I was an accounting major. I went to Providence College. And then I thought, I want to maybe do law. So I went to law school. And I went to law school in D.C. And then I'm like, I think I want to do corporate law, you know, put business and law together. And then so I went to Wall Street in New York, and I was working for one of these big firms doing like merger deals. Right. You know, like big companies, some buying, selling, some hostile tender offers, stuff like that. And then I started writing jokes as a hobby. And I don't know, I made it like I was making short films. I don't know why. And then I was lying to people at work saying, oh yeah, I got to go up to Rhode Island. My mother's sick, and I take the last 2 days of the week off, and I was like shooting a film, literally in Midtown Manhattan, 2 blocks from where I work. I'm like an idiot, no permit. I'm shooting on the street. I'm completely paranoid that, like, people from work go to this restaurant like 2 doors down, that someone's going to see me. I'm like, what am I thinking? I'm a complete idiot. I didn't get caught. But you
were actually the photographer too?
I had hired a crew and everything. Okay. Yeah, like I was spending money on this film. I had actors. I got this clothing store to shut down for 3 hours so we could shoot in the clothing store and paid the money. Like, I did it like a real shoot. And then, but I did it 2 blocks from where I work. I'm like, what an idiot, right? So I basically did put that film in the festivals, and it got into some festivals. And then I went in, and there I am.
Your first shoot.
Yeah, well, it was like, my first like real shoot. I had done like some like short videos, but we shot this on 16 millimeter black and white film. I wanted to do like a real film.
Yeah.
In fact, the guy that shoots all the Louis C.K. stuff was the guy that shot my stuff, and he still, when Louis had a show on FX and FXX, he was the cinematographer. So here I am, like at a festival in Colorado, the HBO festival, and I'm in a big movie theater, and my name is on the screen. My little short film comes up. And then
you were psyched.
I'm like, what the hell, right? And then they invited all the young short filmmakers to a luncheon at this guy's Peter Goober, and he did all of the big like blockbuster movies, like with Mel Gibson, where he's the crazy cop with Danny Glover. Those
Lethal Weapon.
Yeah,
I can't believe I got that.
Yeah, exactly.
I never would.
You pull that out of your
1
ass.
out of 10, I would have guessed that.
So I don't know what. I just know we're going to this house. So then we get in a horse-drawn sleigh, and we go through the woods, and there's a clearing, and there's this massive like stone mansion, and I walk in, and there's pictures like all over the place in the foyer, and there's like a picture of this guy and like Paul Newman, a picture of this guy and Robert Redford, a picture of this guy and Barbra Streisand. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's probably somebody. And I go into the dining room, and there's like the Hudlin brothers, Spike Lee and Albert Brooks.
Damn.
Are all like there, and I'm sitting there, and I told the firm that I was in Rhode Island because my mother was sick, and I'm having lunch with like these, because they wanted us to talk to them and like pick their brain. And I'm like, what the hell? How the hell did I get here, right? And food was amazing. I'm just like, just don't, spit on yourself, you know what I mean? And so it kind of started that way. And then I was writing jokes a hobby, and then I got invited to a private function, and Jay Leno was the entertainment. And he was 150 people there. Weren't a lot of people, and I wasn't going to go because I was pulling all-nighters. I was like a young associate. They were just killing you with hours. But I'm like, I'm going to go. And I printed out all the jokes that I had written. I don't know what I was going to do with the jokes. And I go up to Leno after this thing, and I go, I don't know if you need jokes for your act or whatever, but you can have these jokes. I'm never going to use them. And he was like, okay. Like, I started laughing because it was like almost talking to like a cartoon.
Yeah.
And it was like, like when you let helium out of a balloon.
Sure.
That thing, that's what it sounded like. And then a couple of days later, my phone rings, and I pick up the phone. It's like, it's Jay Leno. Is Paul there? And I thought it was my friend David.
Right. One time Dice called me, and I thought the same thing. I'm like, a lot of guys can do a Dice impression on the phone. I can't put two and two together.
Right.
But it was Dice.
Yeah, and so but for a minute you think like it's your friend.
Absolutely.
So I thought it was my friend punking me, and I go, yeah, really funny, David. He goes, nah, it's really Jay Leno. And I go, stop, it's not. He goes, no, it is. And I'm like, well, I got to tell you, if it's Jay Leno, I actually said to Jay Leno, you do a lousy Jay Leno. And he's like, well, I think I do a pretty good. I go, no, it's the worst Jay Leno. And then I realized it was really Jay Leno. And he goes, I'll start sending jokes in. I'll hire you. I'll pay you $50 a joke if I use it. Just keep clean so I can use it on TV. And then a couple of weeks later, he called me again to tell me that he was going to do one of my jokes on the Tonight Show that night. And I'm like, why are you calling me? Don't you have people who have called, like who have people who have...
Yeah.
He goes, I like to keep in touch with the guys who write my jokes. And that night, he did my joke. I got a bottle of champagne. He did the joke. He popped the champagne, and it's like little $50 joke. Like just blew my head off my shoulders.
Right.
And I think what happened was.
What was the joke? Was it a long joke or a quick joke?
It was the gist of the joke was like, these rehab shows like This Old House and stuff.
Yeah.
They're never like realistic because in real life, on TV, they're like under budget. The guy's clean shaven. They do extra work. They don't charge him. And he goes, where do these people exist in real life? You know, in real life, they rehab your house. The guy's drunk. He's hitting on your wife.
Totally.
Right? He's having sex with your daughter in your
Yeah.
bed. Right? And it did really well. Like, he really sold it. Obviously, he's a great comic. So, I just, like, I think what happened was, like, I loved watching stand-up as a kid. I would beg my parents to stay up late if there was any comedian on any of the late-night shows. And all of a sudden, out of this box came my joke that I wrote.
Right.
And people laughed at it.
That was a
And it was just like...
game changer.
Yeah, and then my head exploded. And then I became obsessed, and I started writing jokes all the time, and I started doing comedy from that. And,
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was
That
living
is
like a
stuff.
secret double life because nobody on Wall Street knew I was a comic. And I couldn't tell comics that I was a Wall Street guy because they would have started asking me for money. So I was like hiding it and having a nervous breakdown in the process.
Well, Paul Mecurio is my guest on the Captain's Log, guys. Check it out all weekend, tonight through Sunday, offthehookcomedy.com. We're going to be on B1039 right now with Big Mama. Tune in. We're live.
Anybody that comes gets a pair of those glasses.
Yeah, these are, I'm a real men wear pink, so I have to support the American Cancer Society.
See you guys.